When people first encounter cloud computing, they are often told a simple story. Instead of buying computers, you rent them. While this sounds intuitive, it quietly hides what is actually happening. Cloud computing is not primarily about renting, it is about ownership transfer. Ownership transfer means that responsibility for part of a system deliberately moves from one party to another. In the cloud, this transfer is not accidental, not gradual, and not informal. It is designed, documented, and enforced. Certain things stop being yours to own, and from that moment on, they truly are no longer your responsibility. To understand this clearly, it helps to think about what ownership really involves. Ownership is not just having access to something. It includes control over how it operates, responsibility for keeping it working, and the burden of dealing with failure when it does not. In the cloud, when ownership transfers, all of these move together. Control moves, responsibility moves, and operational burden moves with it. This is why ownership transfer is different from delegation. Delegation means asking someone else to perform work while you remain responsible for the outcome. Ownership transfer means that responsibility itself moves. When you use cloud infrastructure, the provider is not assisting you with hardware. They fully own it. If a server fails, you are not expected to repair it, investigate it, or even know which physical machine was involved. That entire problem space has been transferred away from you. The reason ownership transfer exists is not convenience alone. It exists because some problems scale better when solved centrally. Managing hardware failures, designing redundant power systems, operating global networks, and securing physical facilities are all expensive and complex tasks. Solving them once, at massive scale, is far more efficient than having every organization solve them independently. Cloud providers specialize in these problems, and ownership transfer is how that specialization becomes usable. As a result, ownership transfer in the cloud happens vertically through the system. At the lower levels, such as buildings, power, networking equipment, and physical servers, ownership is transferred almost completely to the provider. As you move upward toward application logic, data meaning, and business rules, ownership remains firmly with the user. The cloud does not remove ownership everywhere, it moves it to where it makes the most sense. This movement becomes especially visible when using managed services. When you choose a managed database, for example, you are not just using a convenient product, you are transferring ownership of patching, engine maintenance, infrastructure-level backups, and many failure recovery mechanisms. You no longer decide how these tasks are performed, and you are no longer responsible for performing them correctly. In exchange, you eliminate entire categories of operational work. However, this transfer is always a choice. The cloud does not force you to give up ownership. You can retain more ownership by using lower-level services, or you can transfer more ownership by adopting higher-level platforms. Every architectural decision in the cloud is also an ownership decision. How much control you keep and how much responsibility you give away is something you actively choose. What ownership transfer does not do is remove consequences. Even when the provider owns a layer of the system, the outcomes still matter to you. If a managed service does not meet your performance needs, the business impact is still yours. Ownership transfer removes execution responsibility, not relevance. This has an important effect on how failures behave. When ownership has been transferred, failures tend to be handled automatically, according to standardized provider processes. Recovery is consistent, but customization is limited. When ownership is retained, failures require direct user intervention, but recovery strategies can be tailored more precisely. Neither approach is inherently safer. They simply fail in different ways. It is also important to recognize that ownership transfer is contractual, not implicit. Cloud providers clearly define what they own and what they do not through documentation, service descriptions, and service-level agreements. These are not just legal artifacts. They are ownership maps. They tell you exactly where responsibility ends on one side and begins on the other. Learning the cloud is not only about learning APIs, it is about learning these ownership boundaries. Once ownership transfer is fully understood, the way you think about systems begins to change. Instead of asking how to manage individual components, you start asking what behaviors a service guarantees. Instead of focusing on fixing infrastructure, you focus on composing reliable behavior from managed capabilities. This shift in thinking is what makes cloud-native systems possible. In the end, ownership transfer is the quiet mechanism that makes the cloud powerful. It allows specialization, reduces duplicated effort, and enables global scale. The cloud is not effective because it gives you more to manage. It is effective because it allows you to decide, deliberately and precisely, what you no longer need to own.